Let's talk about something that can make or break a teacher's year: classroom management. For so many, it's a source of constant stress. But what if we could flip that script? What if, instead of seeing discipline as a battle, we saw it as a powerful toolkit for building a classroom where you can actually spend your time teaching, not policing? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. Okay, this right here, this is the big idea, the core philosophy behind everything we're going to talk about. And the most important word on that screen, by far, is prevention. See, the goal isn't to get better at reacting to problems. It's to build such a strong, positive classroom structure that most problems never even get a chance to start. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive. Because let's be honest, a reactive classroom is exhausting for everyone. It puts you on edge and it makes students anxious. A proactive classroom, though, that's calm, it's predictable, and it's built for learning. So where did this awesome, organized approach come from? We've got to give credit to educator Oscar Ali Shamoun. He's the one who's distilled all these proven techniques into a system that just makes sense. It builds logically, layer by layer, from your foundational habits all the way to specific interventions. It's a really comprehensive guide that shows us classroom management isn't just one thing. It's a whole collection of professional skills working together. All right, so here's the game plan for today, following that great structure from Oscar Simi Shimon. We're going to start with the big picture idea, the prevention philosophy. Then we'll spend a good chunk of time on the most important part, building a strong foundation. After that, we'll get into the clever stuff, the art of subtle correction. For those tougher issues, we'll look at a fair system called the progressive discipline model, and we'll wrap it all up with the professional's mindset that ties it all together. All right, let's dive into that first piece, the prevention philosophy. And honestly, this is a total game changer. The core idea, which Asghar Ali Shamoun's work really highlights, is that most misbehavior isn't just going to happen. You can actually head it off at the pass with some smart, intentional planning. This means you're thinking about everything before the students even walk in. How is the room set up? Does it encourage focus or chatter? What's the plan for the first 5 minutes of class so there's no downtime? You're basically anticipating the bumps in the road and smoothing them out ahead of time. So, here's the thing to remember. The real goal isn't to get good at punishing, no way. It's about building a classroom that basically runs itself, because the culture and the routines are so clear, so engaging, and so positive that students just naturally do the right thing. Think about it. When students know exactly what's expected of them and what's coming next, it lowers their anxiety. It frees up their brain to actually focus on learning, which is why they're there in the first place. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you build that kind of preventative environment? Well, that brings us to our second and, I would argue, most critical section: building a strong foundation. These are the practical, gotta-do-it actions that you take from day one to set the tone for the entire school year. Getting these right makes everything else so much easier. Let's break these down, because they're so much more powerful than they look. First, learn their names, and learn them fast. It's so simple, but it's magic. Using a student's name says, "I see you." It's step one in building a relationship, and it's a huge management tool. Second, greet every single student at the door, every single day. This is non-negotiable. It's a moment of connection, a chance to smile, and it acts like a reset button for them. Third, teach your rules like you teach math. Don't just post them on the wall. Explain why they exist, act them out, practice them. When there's clarity, there are no excuses. Fourth, have a warm-up ready to go the second the bell rings. An engaging task on the board focuses their energy immediately. And finally, be relentlessly positive. Hunt for the good. Look for students doing the right thing and praise them for it specifically. "Good job" is okay, but "David, I love how you got started right away" is a game changer. You always get more of what you praise. And look, this isn't just a first week of school kind of thing. This is an all-year-long commitment. Consistency is the absolute bedrock of fairness. If a rule applies to one kid, it has to apply to all of them, every time. Next, stay visible. Get out from behind your desk and walk around. Your presence alone is a gentle deterrent. Plus, you can offer quick help. When you see a small issue, deal with it immediately before it blows up. A quiet word now prevents a loud confrontation later. Your seating chart is also a powerful tool. Use it strategically, not just to separate friends, but to create productive learning environments. And finally, make a point to support students who are struggling or who've been absent. Misbehavior is so often just a mask for "I'm lost and I don't know what to do." A simple check-in can prevent a major meltdown. All these little things add up to prevent the big things. Okay, but let's be real. Even in the most amazing, well-run classroom, stuff is going to happen, right? A student will get distracted, start chatting. It's normal. This is where we need the art of subtle correction. And the goal here is absolutely key. You want to redirect that student with the least possible disruption to your lesson. You want to handle it without stopping the flow of learning for everyone else. First up, my personal favorite, the look. Now, we're not talking about an angry death stare here. Not at all. It's a calm, direct, and really brief moment of eye contact. Maybe you raise your eyebrows a little. It just communicates, hey, I see you. Let's get back on track. The best part, you can do it from across the room while you're still talking to the class. It's silent, it's fast, and it lets the student save face. All right, tool number 2 is what I like to call the stealth approach. It's all about proximity. So picture this, 2 students in the back start whispering. Instead of stopping and calling them out, you just keep teaching while you slowly, casually wander over to their side of the room. You don't even have to say anything. Your physical presence just magically makes the chatter evaporate. It's non-confrontational and incredibly effective. So, what if the look and the walk by don't cut it? Then you level up, just a little, to the quiet reminder. This one is huge. While the class is working, you walk over to the student's desk, you lean down to their level, and you whisper something brief and direct. Hey, Sarah, remember, we're focused on the assignment right now. Getting on their level changes the whole dynamic. It's respectful, it's private, and it gets the job done without putting on a show for the whole class. Now, before we move on, we need to talk about a tool that can be amazing, or it can be a total disaster. And that's humor. Using genuine positive humor can be a fantastic way to build relationships and lighten the mood. But it can never, ever, ever cross the line into sarcasm. And the difference is critical. Humor connects, sarcasm attacks. Humor is about the situation, sarcasm is about the person. Sarcasm coming from a teacher is a form of bullying, plain and simple. It destroys trust and has absolutely no place in the classroom. Okay, but what about when a student keeps pushing? When the subtle stuff just isn't landing and the behavior continues? Well, that's when you need a system. A clear, predictable plan that is fair, that is transparent, and most importantly, that takes your emotion out of the equation. This is where we bring in the progressive discipline model. And the whole point of the progressive discipline model, or PDM, is fairness and transparency. Think of it like a ladder of consequences that you teach your students from day one. This is so important because it's not you being mean or having a bad day. It's the system. The student made a choice, and that choice has a predictable consequence on the ladder. It protects you as the teacher, and it empowers students by showing them exactly what will happen based on their actions. So, what does this ladder actually look like in practice? Let's walk through it. Imagine a student, let's call him Michael, calls out in class. That's step 1. You calmly say, Michael, that's your warning for calling out. You note it down. A few minutes later, he does it again. Okay, now we move to step 2. Michael, that's the second time. I'll be calling home today after school. The consequence escalates predictably. The goal isn't to get to the top of a ladder. The goal is for the clear structure to help the student fix their own behavior way down on the bottom rungs. That parent contact at step 2 is huge because it gets them involved early. Okay, this all makes sense for, typical classroom stuff like talking out of turn or not being on task. But you might be thinking, what about the really serious things, the things that go way beyond simple disruption? That's a really important question. And this is where we draw a very, very bright line. For any of these things you see on the screen, fighting, threats, harassment, anything involving weapons or drugs, you do not use the PDM. You skip the ladder entirely. These are not classroom management issues. These are school safety issues. Your job isn't to handle it alone. Your job is to follow your school's safety plan to the letter and get an administrator involved immediately. The safety of everyone in that room is the #1 priority, period. All right, we've covered the tools and the systems, but none of it works without the right mindset. This is the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. This is the software that runs all the hardware we've been talking about. It's all about keeping your perspective, working as a team, and most importantly, managing yourself. A big part of that professional mindset is how you work with your administrators. You guys are on the same team, so you've got to act like it. When you have to send a student to the office, give them clear, factual documentation. What happened and what steps you already took. Don't just send a student out to cool off. That undermines the whole system. And if you disagree with a decision, have that conversation privately and professionally. A united front is essential. And that brings us to a few last reminders, kind of the core beliefs that should guide you every single day. First, always treat students with respect, even when they're making mistakes. Remember that behavior is communication. Second, plan your lessons from bell to bell. An engaging lesson is the best classroom management tool on the planet. Next, be consistent, be fair, and always think before you react. Take that deep breath. A calm teacher creates a calm classroom. Act early with those subtle tools so you don't have to escalate later. So, after all of that, the philosophy, the foundation, the tools, the mindset, what's the one thing you absolutely have to remember? If you forget everything else from Asghar Ali Shamoun's framework, remember this. It's prevention. Prevention is your superpower. It's the most powerful tool you have, period. Greeting students at the door, that's prevention. Planning a great warm-up, that's prevention. Walking around the room, prevention. Using the look to nip a conversation in the bud, that's prevention. The more energy you invest up front in building that positive, structured environment, the less energy you'll ever have to spend putting out fires. So my challenge to you is this. Don't just think about this as a big, overwhelming system. Pick one thing. Just one. Look back at those foundational strategies. Is it greeting every single student at the door every day? Is it mastering that bell-to-bell lesson plan? Pick one of those powerful preventative actions and commit to mastering it, starting tomorrow.